Hey, Bob, there you go.
Here.
Oh, man, I was getting a little panicky.
For some reason, I started the process a few minutes ago, and it just took a while to get it to connect. But
Well, I'm glad to see you. I just texted Marissa, where are you? But she's probably saying the same thing to me. Where are you?
she texted me a little bit ago that she was in a meeting with her attorney.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that I think ran longer than she anticipated, but I think she'll be here shortly.
Okay, no blames.
Yeah.
And I understand it's an outside chance of Jim joining. Like slim and none?
Well, I don't know. You know, I'm not. We're all in separate places. So
yeah, right. Okay.
We were all at the winery together today, and I know he was very much under the weather. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. He was saying he probably shouldn't have even been there today, but he was there anyways. So
yeah, he shouldn't have been. Okay. Well, I got you. I got a bird in the hand.
Yes, that's right.
The weight of the world is on your shoulders, man.
I'm up for it.
Well, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate having you here. And don't blush, but you know, for a wine guy, a sommelier, you know, last night was the Academy Awards. Yeah, Academy Awards. I don't know anything about those people other than they make great movies and they entertain me. But for me, you're the celebrity, you know. So anyway, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. As Doug Marjoram used to say, yeah, we're very famous among a small group of people.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You know, at least it's not a fleeting fame.
Right, exactly.
You've maintained it for quite some time.
My texts keep going off here, and I keep looking at it to see if it might be Marissa, but it's not.
Okay, well, you know, I interfered. She'll make it if she can.
Oh, I'm sure she'll be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the wine quiz?
Well, and I kind of screwed up in the fact that when we were all at the winery together today, Marissa and I should have opened a bottle of each of these and split them. So that she could have had half a bottle of
right.
half a bottle each of the
that's right.
And the Nebiolo, and neither one of us thought of that. Now we're in two separate places, so the only wine I have is the Grenache. But
yeah, and you know, of course, I thought I was getting the 14 Nebiolo. I got the 15 Nebiolo, but you know, I tasted it just now. It's delicious.
Oh, good.
So yeah, actually, I don't know if everybody's listening to us already. What time is it?
It's 5:59.
It's 5:59.
Let me see how much time we have.
We don't have any time. Let's turn it. Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
Do it. Oh, hey, now I can see you even better. You were just a small thing on my.
Yeah, same.
So let me say hello to everybody that's here with us. Hello to everybody that's here with us. Welcome to Wine Not Monday. This is the last of the set of 4. We'll figure out what we're going to do next, but you know, I have to say that I'm so pleased to be able to speak to our neighbors to the north that I think we have to continue to highlight the wine growing regions that are so easy to get to and accessible, like having Bob Lindquist here with us from way up in Santa Maria. So to that end, Bob, give a wave to everybody. Okay, there we go. Everybody sees Bob Lindquist. Bob's been making wine up in Santa Barbara for, I don't know, going on 40 years or maybe more. I don't know. So, he finally figured it out. The beautiful thing is to year after year work these vineyards and see how to get to know your vineyard. It takes time to get to know a vineyard. It's like when you have children and getting to know your children and their personalities. And, some are cranky. I know my son, Aaron, and I have two sons. They're 3 years apart, Aaron and Julian. And, same home, same apartment that they were born in on Euclid in Montana and Santa Monica. They're Santa Monica Hospital boys. I'm from New York and Connecticut, so they're the natives. I'm the native through association. And, the first day Aaron was born, he didn't sleep. He was a cranky little kid crying all the time because he didn't sleep. Julian, the first day he was born, he slept 8 hours. God bless him. I wouldn't be here today. These guys would have killed me. So, children are different, vines are different, and getting to know your vineyard and your vine year after year gives you such an understanding. And so I appreciate, the history that you have up in Santa Barbara and the knowledge that you've accrued through the doing.
I just had a text from Marissa saying that she's waiting to get in.
Oh, she's waiting to get in. I thought didn't I do a admit all? I'm going to hit admit all. Maybe that'll let her in.
There we go.
All right. Hey, there's everybody. Okay, will you?
Yeah, I'll change that.
Yeah, he'll just, open the floodgates. Let my people go or come or let them in. Oh, I saw her and then I lost. Oh, there you are.
Hi.
Okay, and there's my Wendy too. So Marissa's here. Oh, really? Oh, wow, look at that. What'd you do?
I made me the host.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we're going to let somebody else run because, I'm two finger Louie on the keyboard. So let somebody else do that. So here we go. We've got 3 wines from Santa Maria. Well, actually, not really. 2 wines from Santa Maria, 1 from the Edna Valley, because Bob, it's your Grenache from Edna Valley.
Right.
I probably should have done a Verdad, but I don't.
Our Grenache is so good, though. How can you?
But oh my God, it's delicious. So that no problem. We're looking good. So since we're going to be tasting Bob's wine, and should I look? So Marissa sent me pictures of the vineyards. Should we look at the pictures or yeah, I see some head shaking. Okay, let's take look at some pictures. There we go, Clendenin Lindquist, right again. And what is that? That's Bien Nacido?
Yeah, that's Bien Nacido. That's looking up the valley towards the north, and you can see the little winery building kind of in the
oh yeah
in the middle of the picture, kind of a little bit to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, below the hill that has the road going up on it there.
And that beautiful fog. And then we go to what's next? Oh yeah, that's right. What is that, an owl perch or just a?
That's an owl box, yeah.
An owl box, because how the big
Sawyer
fish.
Lindquist.
I think
That's Sawyer Lindquist.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
it looks like it's from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Sawyer Lindquist. Who's Sawyer?
That's Louisa, my wife Louisa.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
bless Louisa.
Yeah, she's the Sawyer half.
She's the Sawyer half.
Right.
And so owl boxes are put up because just like the big fish eat the little fish, owls eat the rodents that eat the bugs that eat, it's that's the beauty of life, the circle of life.
Yeah.
And yeah, go on.
An owl will eat at least one, if not two or three, gophers per night. When they're in their box. A lot will depend on whether they have babies, and there's some variables in there. But yeah, they're an effective, if not panacea. They don't get rid of all the gophers, but they certainly help.
They put the fear of God in them, huh?
That's right.
Hey, Wendy, we got to put up a gopher box. Well, I mean, an owl box. We've got so many damn gophers in our backyard. They're like, you walk and then you fall down and been in a ditch because of the gopher hole. Okay, there. I think I took the next picture is the other side of the owl box, just to give a little look at how beautiful. Look at that beautiful hill.
Nice.
That is something else. So that's Sawyer Lindquist.
That is.
That's Sawyer Lindquist. That's God's country right there. And okay, next we got, suffer through a few of these pictures and then we'll get down to bid names. Okay, so that's Le Bon Climat.
That is.
And so is this a section above Bien Nacido or has no relationship?
It's about like 5 miles, kind of as the crow flies away from
Oh,
Bien
okay.
Nacido.
Yeah, it's on the other side of the Santa Maria Valley, opposite Bien Nacido. Just 4 or 5 miles directly south.
If you're up on top of that hill, up on top of the mesa, you can see Bien Nacido. You can't see the winery because we're tucked in the back, but
right.
you can see.
So what came first, the label Au Bon Climat or this vineyard? I mean, is there a relationship or the label came first and then the vineyard was acquired and given that name?
Yes. So Au Bon Climat of good climate, and then Le Bon Climat, the good climate.
Yeah. Okay. The Climat.
That's how we got the Le Bon Climat name compared to Au Bon Climat.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Tongue twister.
And Jim started Au Bon Climat in 1982.
Right.
And he planted Le Bon Climat, I believe, Marissa, was it 98 or was 98 the first crop?
It was planted in 98.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, planted in 98.
Yeah, so let me see. Let me do a little math here. 23. Okay, so you were just a little girl.
I'm like, I have a little picture of Jim and me in my lab.
Oh, that's sweet picture. That's great.
That might have been, and yeah, it's definitely little.
yeah, you were just a kid. I think there's another close-up of Le Bon Climat. Just there we go. Yeah, just get a little better view of that. And that's a pretty steep incline.
Yeah.
And tell me, how many different grape varieties grow in Le Bon Climat? Do you know?
There are 5. So we've got Pinot Noir, Chardonnay. There's Aligoté, Gewürztraminer, and a little bit of the Teraldigo. And then there was a little bit of Viognier, but that's now no longer there.
What got grafted over to the Viognier?
Pinot.
Oh, Pinot. Cash crop.
Yeah.
Gotta make money somehow.
Right.
Excellent.
There's more to that story, but we're not going into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't ask, don't tell. We just got a couple more pictures, and now
That's Rancho Lacuna.
Yeah. Now what is that?
So Rancho Lacuna is Jim's another estate property that he has in Los Alamos. It's
Ah,
a 50-acre property, but only about 10 acres of it are planted. And
Uh-huh.
it's like the vines that you see right here, that's all Pinot Noir. But Jim also, he just planted a few years ago, Grenache, Gris, Chenin Blanc. There's a little bit of Nebiolo that we still haven't gotten fruit off of yet. That's how young the vines are. But it's
right.
a beautiful location, as you can see.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
quite
that's about 3 miles west of the town of Los Alamos, if you're familiar with the lay of the land.
well, a little bit. Wendy, where did we stay? In Los Alamos? I can't hear you. Come on, you can do it. Unmute. Oh, do I have to say unmute or you can just
No, she's
unmute?
got to
Okay.
unmute.
I got it.
Okay, you got it. What?
We stayed at the Alamo Motel.
Oh yeah, we stayed at the Alamo Motel. That's the best place in town. I tell you what.
Not a bad spot, you know. Got a great fire pit.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
social,
Oh
you
no,
know.
it was great. Right across the street from great restaurants. I'm thrilled. We're coming back up in a couple of weeks, so
Oh,
look
good.
out. I'm gonna tear it up. We got a couple more pictures, and then we're gonna stop this horseplay here. Look at that.
That's the Nebiolo block at Biennacido, which is right next to the hillside Syrah block called Z block.
Ah,
And that's a
see?
beautiful spot.
Yeah, that's so is that our yeah,
Nebiolo.
The Nebiolo, yeah, exactly.
yeah. Nebiolo. Okay. And I think there's only one more.
Do you have the Pip Nebiolo? Or
Yeah.
the Brico?
I thought I ordered the Brico, but I've got the Pip.
Pip, okay.
Oh, that's what happened. I got the Pip. What's the difference between Brico and the Pip?
So the Brico is just going to be 100% meat ket clone and a little bit of Lampia, and then the Pip is going to be a blend of both of them.
Okay, well that's okay because that's what happens in Italy. They blend the miquette and the actually I think there are 3 different
That's a bachelor pad of a winery. Ah,
okay, well, live and learn. Okay, well, and so we're looking out over the winery.
Yeah, that's up.
And-
That's up at from block 11. That's the block that's just right opposite the winery. When you're down at the winery looking up at the hill, that's the block you see.
Right.
That's Roussan at the bottom of the block there, and then Syrah going down the hill, towards the Roussan.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get down on. I think that was the last picture. So we can stop this horseplay and, actually put you to work. We're going to taste this. So, okay, so we've got your 17 Grenache.
Do you have 17 or is it?
No,
the
18 Grenache. Oh, I'm just worthless in this. I don't know what I ordered, but this is what I got. I sent the wrong tech sheet. So what was 18 like as a harvest? Was it early, late? Was it cool, wet?
It was actually kind of normal, if there is a normal these days.
Yeah.
We've had a series over the last decade. We've had a series of kind of warmer than normal vintages, with the exception of 2011, which was the last kind of really cool vintage that we had. But 18 was about as normal as it gets, for us in terms of when when bud break happened, what the summer was like, what the fall harvest season was like, and most importantly, the kind of the timing of when the grapes ripened. They were kind of ripened starting in early September, which is kind of normal, and finished ripening around the end of October, which again is kind of normal. So
Oh, wow.
it was a really, really good vintage. A lot of local winemakers would tell you that 18 was an exceptional vintage, and I think it was just, we had kind of perfect weather, a really nice balanced crop, and all the stars were aligned that year.
So,
Yeah, not to
yeah.
mention that the, the Democrats took the House back in 2018.
Oh, you're talking to the wrong crowd here, Bob. We'll leave that alone. In other words, the different grape varieties would come into their ripeness starting in September. And so I assume the Nebiolo was probably an October harvest, whereas Tempranillo would have been a September harvest.
Yeah, one of the, you probably heard this before, but it bears repeating. One of the things that really sets our area apart is we have these east-west running mountains and valleys in
Right.
our part of the Central Coast. It's pretty unique. And so they're like open windows to the ocean. So during the summertime, when it heats up inland, it draws in the ocean throughout the hot summer months. So we actually have kind of cooler than normal temperatures and a lot of marine influence in June, July, and even into August. And then in September, when it starts to cool down inland, we get more high pressure, sunnier days in September and October. In fact, when people from out of the area say, hey, I'm going to come out to Santa Barbara or Pismo Beach, I want to come out and hang out by the beach, I tell them, don't come in June or July, maybe August, but it's still touristy then. Come in September and you'll be guaranteed the best weather that you can possibly have and some of the sunniest, warmest, nicest days. So we have this long, cool growing season in the summer, which is ideal for early ripening varieties like Pinot Noir, like Chardonnay, like Viognier. And then we have this great weather in September and October, which is ideal for later ripening varieties like Grenache, like Teraldigo, and like Nebiolo.
Excellent. That's beautiful. So hear that, people? September, October. That's it. We'll put on our baby suit and go to the beach.
Well, and you kind of see that phenomenon in the LA area as well, where if you're near the ocean, you get that June gloom,
Yeah.
and then you get a lot of high pressure, nice days in September, October in the LA area as well.
Yeah, June gloom starts in, I don't know, the end of April, May, and lasts into July, and yeah, that's June.
That's right.
So, when I put my nose in this Grenache, and it's such wonderful, fresh, crunchy fruit, and wonderful acidity, soft tannin, so like, I hate to say it, but it's kind of gulpable. It's just delicious wine. And yeah, so what are you watching? I don't think, let me answer the question I'm going to ask you, and then you can correct me. You don't have to worry about sugar. So wouldn't you be watching your acid more than anything?
Yeah, that and alcohol balance as well. What you have here, Paul, is a cool climate Grenache, which is actually kind of unusual because most of the great Grenache wines of the world come from warmer climates. Places like Châteauneuf-du-Pape or Priorat or Barossa Valley or even Paso Robles. You could consider that a warm growing area for great Grenache.
Right.
Where we're growing it, again, we're growing it side by side with Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. We're growing it in a very different climate zone, but it does always ripen. I'm knocking on wood as I say that. It does come in late, and I suppose one of these years we might see rain in October or September. It just rarely happens, and it seems like if it ever does happen, it kind of dries out again right away afterwards. So we really, in the 40 plus years that I've been making wine in our part of the Central Coast, I have never seen a disastrous vintage. I've seen vintages that are better than others and vintages that are, less good than others. That but there's never been a disastrous vintage where we, can't make decent wine.
Hallelujah! I'll drink to that. And because let me see, this is I'm looking for alcohol now. I mean,
I
13.
probably lied on the label, so.
Okay, well, it says 13.5, but I don't think yeah, go ahead.
And it is close to that, but it's probably about 13.8 in the 2018 vintage.
Uh-huh.
But because we do some export, we like to round off on the half points for wines that we make available for export, because that's a kind of a requirement. It's kind of a funny, weird rule, but we have a half a percent leeway.
Yeah.
For export wine. So if it says 13.5, that means that it falls somewhere between 13 and 14.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's still legal.
Because most other, I mean, everywhere else where you get Grenache, we're talking always 14 and above.
Right, and
Right?
often 15.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, not uncommon at all with Grenache, and that's what I was talking about with the warmer. Most great Grenache come from warmer climates. At least what we consider great. Just because of historical references, but and it is unusual to be able to grow Grenache consistently in cool climate like we do, and it's because of the weather. We just have this really unique weather in our part of the Central Coast.
Well, the fact that you don't have to worry about getting rained on allows you to leave the grapes on the vine until you feel they're ready to go.
That's right. Yeah, by far the biggest qualitative factor that we have in our part of California is the weather. We also happen to have really good soils for growing grapes, which means bad soils.
Uh-huh.
And then we have also some excellent farmers in our area who really have figured it out, and now the wine industry in our part of the Central Coast has grown up enough that the growers, the vineyard people are figuring out which varieties do best, how to best farm them, which clones do best, which rootstocks, if you're using rootstocks, etc. So it's really evolved quickly over the last 50 years in Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo counties.
Mm-hmm.
So this wine is actually Edna Valley. Right. So and reading the back of the label, well, maybe I didn't read the back of the label. Maybe I read the wrong vintage tech sheet. But is there Syrah in here? Because the 17
there's 20% Syrah.
There is 20% Syrah. And are you co-fermenting them?
No, they come in at separate times. Thank you, Horace. Somebody just stopped by to say hi.
Hey.
Yeah, there's 20% Syrah, but they come in at different times. Syrah actually ripens. I mean, in a normal year, Syrah ripens before the Grenache, usually about a week, maybe 10 days earlier. And so they're different fermenters, fermented separately, put in barrels separately, and then later, when I get ready to bottle the Grenache, I'll add the Syrah shortly before bottling. And the Syrah gives it more complexity. It gives it a little more color. Mm-hmm. One of the I don't want to call it a negative, but one of the aspects of growing Grenache in cool climate is you don't get very dark color.
Right.
Not that color is the be all and end all in terms of quality, but there's a public perception that the darker it is, the better it is. So adding a little bit of Syrah helps the color and helps it,
Yeah, but Bob, you could have just added red dye number 10 or something like that.
Some people do stuff like that.
Shh, don't say that.
There's always ways to cut corners, right?
I don't approve. So that's the tradition of blending Syrah and other grapes into Grenache. It's funny how Grenache gets a bad rap as being, a blending grape, that it can't, it can't hold its own, and yet we know that's wrong. And so I remember having a conversation with Michael Larner about Grenache's acid And that actually, when maybe I didn't understand what he was trying to say to me, because, you know, I need to have things repeated to me until it sinks in. So the way I understood it, he was saying that part of the ripening of Grenache is waiting for the acid to drop. And by the time that happens, that's why the sugars have gotten higher. Am I confused?
Well, Grenache is when you grow it in cool climate, and Larner Vineyard is a little bit warmer than this Sawyer Lindquist vineyard in the Edna Valley, but it's still a relatively cool growing area for Grenache. And Grenache is a high acid variety, and when you grow it in cool climate, you know, it starts with pretty high acidity, and it holds its acidity really well, which is one of the reasons why it does so well in warmer climates as well, because it does hold its acidity
That's
quite well. And you know, there is a point where you find the right balance. And you know, for me, that because we have such a long growing season, and because I want to make a wine that has great acidity and freshness, and I don't want it to be 15% alcohol, you do look for that nice balance between acidity, pH, sugar, because that sugar is what's going to give you your alcohol. So I'm looking very closely at that at the time of harvest.
Got it. Well, this wine is so fresh and so delicious, and with all of that balance, and I mean, really, the tannins are just, you know, it's just a light dusting on my teeth.
Yeah.
I know they're going to ask, so I'll ask you, so I, you know, get the heat off of me. What do we eat with this, Bob? Well,
because it is a pretty elegant wine for a Grenache type wine. You could eat the kind of some of the same things that you would have with Pinot Noir. You know, an ideal combination would be grilled salmon for this wine. That would be one of the great, you know, food wine combinations that you could have with this, in my opinion. The grill, you know, grilling it, you know, gives it that slight smoky character, and you know, and salmon just has a nice oiliness that allows it to go really well with kind of, you know, medium-bodied red wines. And so that would be kind of my first choice, but it's versatile enough, you know, to go with meats, or to go with, you know, hard cheeses, or maybe grilled chicken, or one of my favorite things to have with this is Dodger dogs. I think that works really well with this Grenache.
Okay, well, that's that works for me, because I likes me a dog. So, so why don't we now move into this Teraldigo that Marissa has been making. So we'll let Bob relax, and we'll put the spotlight on Marissa. Marissa, how long have you been how long have you been working there at the winery?
I started working here in 2008, and I actually went to our cellar master and asked him if I could work on the bottling line. So that's how I got my foot in the door here. Then did some hand labeling for about a year, and then was promoted and started working in the laboratory here. And that's where I'm at right now, my office, my wonderful. And then so the Teraldigo was planted at Le Bon Clément Vineyard in 2006. And 2010 was the very first year that I got enough fruit off of the vines to make 1 barrel of wine. And so it's grown a little bit, but there's only about half an acre planted total. So it's a very, very small amount of Teraldigo. And there's only about 1,000 acres of this variety planted in California.
And so we know that this great
to see it on its own.
Yeah, when I was with you and we tasted this, I was just astounded that it's really true, okay, I got a bad attitude because, after 20 years at Valentino, tasting all of these great and classic wines, and when I hear people say, oh yeah, we're growing Sangiovese or we're growing, I say, oh yeah, sure you are. But I have to say that when I tasted this wine, it really, it brought back, it represents and all, I don't know the right word to say, authentic isn't right, but it is true to style. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's very, I have, great mentors like Bob and Jim around me all the time to help influence me. And I know the importance of acidity. That's one of the things that I definitely look for. And Giraldigo is just a naturally very acidic variety. And also I like lower alcohol wines. So for me, one of the reasons why I barrel aged this wine for so long is to kind of help soften the tannins and kind of help integrate the fruit and the earth kind of characteristics that come with that, that you get with this variety.
So, okay, so I think I actually got the vintage that I expected to get, which was the 13.
13.
And when we put 13 into perspective of, we didn't know that 2012 was going to be the first of I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15. So the first of 4 years of drought, right?
Yeah.
And so 12 probably was a more normal harvest, but by, by 13, now we're warm, we're dry, we're thirsty, which forced an earlier harvest. Yeah.
It did a little bit. Yeah. And this was actually the largest yield that I ever got off of those vines.
Wow.
So there was, in 2010, I started with 1 barrel, and in 2013, I got 5 punch-ins. So they're 500-liter barrels.
Oh, wow.
So, they're just nice. That was the most. I haven't gotten any more off of those vines. And slowly, it kind of peaked out at that. And now, as all good things, you go up and you go down. No.
But how about in subsequent, after 16, 17, 18, didn't the yields come back?
No, not really. Not really. I think the vines kind of grew or got comfortable in their own. They're a very vigorous variety. So, they're, for the fact that there's only, like half an acre planted, being able to get 5 punch-ins is pretty good yield off of a half. Yeah. So it's 4 tons almost of half acre. Pretty good.
Excellent. Out of half an acre, that that might be somebody might be pointing the finger that's saying, oh, that's high yield.
Yeah.
And yet though the wine is no worse for wear, it really still shows itself. So just for the people that are watching, and what the heck is Giraldigo?
What is Giraldigo? So I say to her old ego. That's kind of how I say Giraldigo. But it's a northeastern Italian variety. It hails from the Trentino Alto Adige area. I've heard it kind of be compared to Zinfandel, more, I think, just for the color kind of than anything. Alamo is the #1 purchaser of Giraldigo in California, and they use it for blending. Obviously, it's got great acidity and great color, so it's a wonderful blending variety. Yeah.
And when you do DNA research to find out who fathered that child, we find that it's a sort of a distant relate to Syrah.
Yeah, Syrah would be, it's like uncle.
Yeah, it's Uncle Syrah. And we do get some of that pepper on the nose, right? And maybe slightly tarry, or I don't know. Yeah.
I get some tar, I get some like pomegranate, like that kind of, like if you were to eat a pomegranate and it like kind of pops in your mouth, that tartness, but how to describe it.
I think
cherry.
Yeah, maybe. I think rhubarb would be too astringent. I always play with. I throw things out and then I think, nah, not that. But that's
I have that tasting wheel just for that
right.
reason. You never know. And
I'm spinning it in my brain right now.
I love wine is all subjective. That's one of the things that really got me interested in just winemaking. You're taking something that, you grow from Mother Nature and everything Mother Nature, weather changes every year. So you have to kind of be a little creative. Bob was right in saying that, we've been really lucky in this, in our Central Coast where we haven't really had horrible weather. So it's not like something that it's easy to make really great wine in this location.
Well, certainly, California and for us, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria is is a region. I just say it's, a world-class region that's making world-class wines. And that doesn't happen by itself. I always say, we glibly say, oh, grapes, they make themselves into wine. And my answer to that is, yeah, grapes make themselves into really bad wine. They need guidance. They need direction. They need to be monitored. But if we don't allow too much fruit to grow and we harvest at the right time and we keep everything clean-ish, cleanish. No, yeah, right. But then you're going to have wine that is going to, represent the time and the place and the person that interjected themselves into making the wine. And
it's our own little time capsule, right? So it's like 2013, I open up this bottle of wine and I'm thinking about 2013 and just what was I doing, what was the weather like, it's, you kind of go back in time a little bit, and that's a lot of fun. One of the most important jobs that I have here is like helping see, like, so we get vineyard samples in. So I always check for the bricks and I check the pH because those are some really important numbers that helps determine like when Bob and Jim want to harvest the fruit. Because I think like with Michael Larner, he was saying he wants the acidity to kind of go down a little bit, which is totally stylistic. And I enjoy his wines a lot. I just know that all of the wines that I've had, especially it's like old Chardonnay was what made me fall in love with wine. And it was 20 years old when I drank it, and I was a teenager at the time. And it just blew my mind that, you can make something and bottle it and store it. And in 20 years, it's even better than it was when you started drinking it. And it was like your current release kind of a thing.
From when it was just, grape juice to something that actually, spoke of wine and maturity, and yet not. I get it. I've had that epiphany from a 20-year-old white wine that I expected to be showing oxidation and to find it as fresh and young and delicious proves that wine is alive in the bottle. And, depending on how it's made and when it's, when those grapes are harvested.
Yeah, on Friday, we had a great bottle of Syrah that Bob made for 92, and so it's just fun to be able to.
Had a 90. What was that wine, Bob?
One of our cellar workers, Ubaldo, was leaving. It was his last day. That was his birth year.
That was his birth year.
Yeah, so we drank, several wines, including an Au Bon Climat Sanford and Benedict Chardonnay from 92, which was still showing really well.
Wow.
And a 92 Biennacido Syrah, and a 92 Oregon Pinot Noir that Jim had made under the Ici Là-Bas label that was still
Ici Là-Bas, that's right. I remember.
Beautiful. And so it was it was a fun lunch.
Yeah.
Friday lunch.
Friday, I love that Friday lunch.
Well, we do have wine every day at lunch at our winery. It's part of our culture, but we try to always pull out something a little bit extra special on Friday.
Okay, I'll be up on a Friday then. I'm gonna have to be sick that day. Oh yeah, at work. Okay, so I just love this Tyrol to go. It really,
It's a
really,
beautiful
it's got-
variety too. It's like a really big, with Pinot, there's some small clusters. So the Tyrol to go, it's got like beautiful big bells and then like a long, it's
cluster.
really, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going on 8 years old, and God, it's just as fresh, and it's. I'm so happy. I'm happy. So then,
It can age really well for sure. Tyrol to go.
well, it's showing itself to be aging really well. So that's a beautiful thing. We then move to a 2015 Nebiolo. So, last week we were tasting with James Ontiveros, and we were tasting his Pinot and Chard. And we didn't taste his 15 Pinot because when I did, and he was saying, because the drought began in 2012, and 13 and 14 and 15 was the last year of the drought. And so those grapes by 2015 were very concentrated. So he was describing his 2015 Pinot as being more like Nebiolo than like Pinot Noir. So here we have a 2015 Nebiolo, and I have to say, I was a little scared when I opened it up to taste it and thinking, oh my God, so that we're all on the same page. Nebiolo is a grape from the northwest of Italy that is a grape that personifies acid and tannin. And to have a vintage, a harvest that is going to accentuate that tannin, puts the fear of God in me. And yet we have such an elegant Nebiolo. This wine speaks to me of, forgive me for, being a little esoteric, but I'm talking first to these two winemakers. This is like Alta Piemonte. This is like up in the north, up in the mountains, that has this long growing season but cooler climate that allows for this graceful growing of the grape, as opposed to Alba, where we have Barolo and Barbaresco that's going to produce these big, massive 14.5, wines that, the best Barolo and Barbaresco from the best vintages need 20 years before you want to even think about opening up the bottle. And from 20 years to 50 years, they sing, Parla d'amore, but here, yeah, I'm showing up.
Do it.
But so, okay, now with that, I'm going to let you talk. I have to drink some wine here.
You drink that great Nebiolo. Also, the Pip is actually named after one of Jim's dog, the very first decanter winery dog ever. She's a beautiful border collie. She's no longer with us, so I think this was like a posthumous or alive kind of a wine that we made for her, or homage to her, I guess you could say. And so it's the Nebiolo was planted specifically for Jim at Iannacito, and so that's where this is from. It's a little bit, I think, more approachable of a Nebiolo compared to like his Punta Exclamativa that we also do under the Clendenin family label. That one, this is going to be more neutral wood instead of new wood. Let me see, what else can I say about that?
And shorter time in barrel, Marissa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. The Pip is bottled earlier than the
Brico or the
Punta Exclamativa. Yeah.
And how long would that be in barrel? Any?
So the Pip is going to be in barrel for 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a shorter time in barrel, 4 years.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Why is that? Because that's it to make the wine more approachable. It softens those tannins. Everything becomes more integrated, and it just makes it a more, I think, enjoyable wine for the consumer.
There's a word. I'm trying to think of what that word is. Okay, I'm going to drop a big word on you. Polymerization. Can you say polymerization? Polymerization. Yeah. So, and they've heard me do this, but I got to do my song and dance. So when red wine is in barrel, or actually when red wine is, the tannins are in molecular form.
Mm-hmm.
And as tannin molecules touch other tannin molecules, they attach, they combine, and they start to make these molecular chains of tannins. And as the molecular chains develop and get bigger, eventually they become such a big molecule chain that they become solid matter and they fall out of the wine. And as tannins fall out of the wine, there's less of it on our teeth. And even as they are not falling out, but in chains, they by combining them makes them have a softer impact. I mean, if you taste this wine, which I'm going to do again. I mean, we got some tannin on our teeth from this. And that's after this wine has been in barrel for 4 years to let that, and why in barrel? Because as oxygen comes in, oxygen promotes that polymerization. How am I doing? Am I doing all right?
Polymerization.
Yeah. Okay. So, and, very traditional would be to use, traditional Italian Nebiolo is going to be in large, neutral barrel, right? Botte. And those botte can be from, 2,000 to 10,000 liters, right? These big ovals, or even when we get, even the Barolo boys that are the modernists that bring in French oak, they're using 500s, right? Pretty much. So
Puncheons rather than barrique. Yeah.
puncheons rather than barrique, because even a brand new puncheon is going to have a softer impact of the French oak flavor on the wine. But here we have really a traditional, Nebiolo in Italian terms, 4 years in barrel. And are these could be barrique as long as they're neutral.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
it's all neutral Francois Frere.
Neutral
And
French.
Jim does use some puncheons.
And he uses
For
puncheons.
for Nebiolo, yeah,
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Not
So, like-
not exclusively, but there are puncheons in the mix.
Like the Punta Exclamativa, that wine is in a new puncheon and it stays in that puncheon for its whole entire life before it gets bottled.
Mm.
And that one's like 6 years in the
6
puncheon,
years.
right?
Yeah.
6 years in the puncheon.
Yeah, so another thing we're learning is that, gee, you have to be a very patient person when you go into the winemaking business.
Well, especially with certain varieties. With
Yeah.
with Nebbiolo, for sure, you have to be patient.
Yeah,
Mhm.
years in the making.
Yeah.
And yet, look what joy these wines provide when that patience has been,
Done. You definitely get a great reward, don't you? A little
Thank you.
patience yields a wonderful thing.
So I thank you both for these wonderful wines. We might have some, okay, now it's my turn to look at the chat. Oh, what happened? I can do this. Oh, what order are the wines? Oh, we didn't, it's okay that you didn't receive the tech sheets because they're all the wrong tech sheets anyway. So, and how much of the 2013 Tyrol to go is left?
There's 30 cases.
30 cases?
Mhm.
Okay, so stay the course. We could still get more. How about Grenache with Chicken Saltimbocca? I say, why not?
Oh,
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great combination.
So Beth, I'll be over shortly. Does anyone keep it coming? Come on. We got them here. Let's ring them out for all they're worth. No?
Do.
You can even unmute and ask a question if you want. Oh, I see Doan's in the house. You got to unmute. Are you saying something?
We are big fans of the Clenenden and Lindquist family. We've kind of moved our membership among among the three of them, and I do have to say they show a remarkable amount of patience when they're putting together.
Type something.
Hats off to Marissa, who puts that Terradego in and waits for years and years and years for it to come out, because it comes out so well. And
Thank you.
Yeah, they know their business, don't they?
Hi, I wanted to say something. I'm Larry Schnabble. We live up in Templeton. We go to McPhee's restaurant and we always get the house wine, which is the Bon Clement. And it is always good. We never had a bad bottle. It is fabulous stuff. And the second thing was I wanted to say that we were sipping our Grenache. We have a Cass Winery 2018 Grenache, and it was a 14.5. And we put it in a carafe to let it calm down a little bit, and it's very good.
Now, Larry, what Grenache is that? That's not the Grenache we're having.
Yeah, Cass.
No, it's not. You're too far away and it takes too long. So this is Steve Cass was kind enough to
I got you.
gift me with a 2018 Grenache. And as you pointed out, we have a hotter climate, and so we're 14.5 instead of like 13.8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cass is up in the Paso Robles. And Larry, I haven't been there, but it's kind of going maybe a little towards Creston. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
He bought a huge amount of acreage and then subdivided it into smaller acreages for houses, and he's built some houses up there. And he is making some very, very good wines. But I just wanted to say, put in a word for Bon Clement, because that's good stuff. I don't know where we find that, though. I don't see that usually when I'm in a wine shop or a grocery store. I don't know where it's carried.
If you go to like your Vons or your local grocery store, there's the Bon Clement Santa Barbara County Chardonnay. There's also, if you find the Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris that we do, that's something that'll be very similar to the wine that we make for McPhee's.
How about Albertsons?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Albertsons and Vons are owned by the same company, so they both
Have this-
carry.
There
They
we
carry.
go.
They carry.
Yeah, but I want to talk about this guy, Cass. He must have a boatload of money that he's got all that land and building all those houses. I want to meet this man.
He was an executive at, I believe, Charles
Oh,
Schwab.
Schwab.
That's where he made
Okay.
his money. But
Oh.
what he really wants to do is have a
Spend his
vineyard.
money.
And yeah, but no,
Lose
he's
it.
making some good wines.
Okay, well, I think we can advise him well. All right, let's jump on that bandwagon. Mr. Lindsay,
Yes.
why don't you unmute yourself and chime in?
I think I just did, but I have a question about the Grenache. The tech sheet, which admittedly is for the wrong year, says that you start with full clusters and stomp them. Is that correct? Are you doing it the old fashioned stomping way?
Well, it depends on the vintage, but I do like to use some whole clusters with the Grenache. We generally use more whole clusters with Syrah than we do with Grenache, but in most years we use some whole clusters. So when we do whole clusters, we do them in small open top fermenters, and we put the whole clusters in first and get in, physically step on them and break up the skins, and then we'll put destemmed grapes on top of that. And
Great.
so then during fermentation, those grapes will continue to burst underneath the cover of the grapes that were destemmed and put on top of them. And we'll start doing manual punch downs where we're punching the fruit down during the fermentation process. And that continues to break up more grapes and release more sugar. But the most important aspect of that is that the stems will add extra complexity to the wine. They'll add a little more tannin. They'll add a little kind of, flavor and character of their own.
Aromatic, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the key with stems is for them not to be too green. They need to be somewhat mature. And because of our cool climate, we have a long hang time, and so the stems generally get pretty nicely ripe, but by the time the grapes are ripe.
Great. Well, if you need any help on the stomping, I think you could get some volunteers from this group.
Well, and I'll let you know.
You have to take out your own insurance policy before doing that.
Yeah, but I'll let you know when you go to the winery, there's a sign in the bathroom that says employees must wash feet before going back to work.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right.
Yeah, because they know about hygiene. Yeah.
We do. And bees. You'd be
Oh boy, I
surprised
got
at,
to
like,
use
how
my
many bees
joke.
kind of
What?
get in the fruit. So when you're doing like whole cluster stomping and stuff, you have to be really careful of the bees. I got my foot
Bees.
stung a couple of times on the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you're
Marissa.
allergic, carry your EpiPen.
Oh,
We
shoot.
usually recommend, that somebody wear rubber boots when they're,
Yeah.
when they're doing the stomping rather than doing it barefoot because of the bees and the yellow jackets, especially the yellow jackets.
Yellow jackets. Oh, I hate those
Yeah.
yellow jackets.
Effers. No.
Yeah.
They love the grape. You can't blame the bees and yellow jackets for loving the grapes. They really go for them.
There go your volunteers.
Yeah, there you go. See you later. Bye. So no, the answer, Ann Grasmick, Nebiolo is a great, well, I shouldn't say no, because Angelo Gaia did for a few years blend a little bit of Barbera into his Nebiolo, but traditionally, and I'm sure with this Nebiolo, correct me if I'm wrong, it is 100%. Ooh, how's that for Italian, huh? 100% Nebiolo.
There you go. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. There are traditions of blending other softer grapes, like I said, Barbera, into the Nebiolo to help soften that tannin, because the Nebiolo tannins can be harsh, unless you have the patience of 4 years and 6 years in barrel, right?
Yeah.
So, right. So
It's funny
good
that you
question.
mentioned
Thank
it,
you.
Because Jim used to have Barbera planted at Biennacido also. And he no longer does because it was too high in acid.
Oh, wow. Right.
Yeah, it didn't work
For Santa Maria.
Yeah, it was just too high in acid.
Wow.
So
That's
now that Barbera is Pinot Noir.
I got it. You know, it's kind of funny because because I was 20 years at Valentino, an Italian restaurant, and my go-to food and wine pairing, if somebody's having fish and they want red wine, it would always be Pinot Noir. But being in an Italian restaurant, I'm trying to figure out what grape should I recommend and what wine should I recommend to go along with salmon or a fatty fish. And Barbera was always my go-to because it's because go on.
Or I would say, or Dolcetto.
Well, Dolcetto can be a little more tannic.
It depends on how it's made.
Right.
Sure. I've had many Dolcetto that are very almost kind of Gamay-like, and they're very pleasurable.
Exactly, because sometimes they will put their Dolcetto through carbonic maceration, whole berry fermentation, and that's a way of keeping the very soft tannins, right? So that's always been the game of food and wine, and you have to be careful of tannin with fish. How are we doing? We good? Is there somebody else? What? Say what?
I have a question.
Oh, well, then I think you should ask it.
Well, thank you, Paul.
Of course.
Since we love food as well as wine, we've heard about pairings from Bob for his wine, and I'm ready to grill a salmon. Could Marissa tell us about what would you put with the Tiroldigo and the Nebiolo?
Yeah,
Marissa.
So with the Tiroldigo, I think it's kind of elegant and soft. So chicken dish or like a creamy pasta is something that I would do with that. The Nebiolo, I always like duck with Italian varieties. So that's really yummy, like a nice fatty piece of duck that's kind of medium rare. I'm a big vegetable eater. So, summer squash is always good with a little bit of balsamic on there. See, what else do I like? I'm trying to imagine all of the wonderful meals that we get cooked for lunch because it's a wonderful gastronomy experience.
No, and I think Nebiolo is classic with tomato as well. With anything with tomato sauce or tomatoes.
Get a good puttanesca pasta or ravioli.
All right, so you've got some options there. Of course, a nice risotto.
No, it's a very food friendly wine. I mean, when you deal with something that's got good acidity and, lower alcohol, it's something that pairs well with a lot of different kind of dishes.
And the Nebiolo in particular, because of the tannins, needs that fat. So a classic Piemontese dish would be beef tagliata. So they would roast a beef tenderloin and they would slice it and then serve it with a stock sauce with mushrooms. And
that sounds really good.
well, yeah, it's really good. Yeah. And and maybe with a little risotto, parmigiano, things you could do worse.
That's right.
Yeah.
Throw a few truffles in that risotto.
Oh, tartuffi. Yeah. Yeah, that's the stuff. Well, I want to thank Bob and Marissa for joining us. This was such a treat. You all need to make the Hajj up to Santa Maria and visit them, and they'd probably say, "Hey, Paul, shut the." I mean, no.
We used to always, there was always a big wine festival in Santa Barbara that was held by the Vintners Association that was in October. And that was always a really fun time to come up and visit, because local wineries and tasting rooms would have specials. And, we always had an open house after. I don't know how things are going to be reopening, but I definitely think that they're going to do it again next year for sure.
All right.
Knock on wood.
And in the meantime, Au Bon Climat, Clendenin family, etc., they have a tasting room in Santa Barbara.
Oh.
And for Lindquist family, we have a tasting room in Arroyo Grande. So we do have, there are other ways to taste the wines currently out on the patio.
On the patio.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to go on a search and destroy and taste you up. And again, I'm over the moon. In my appreciation for having the two of you here. And
Well, for you guys too. Thank you.
And thank you. I'll see you. I'll send you love letters, and that's it.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, everybody.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you. Bye, Marissa.
Bye, Bob.
See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.